Okay, so today we are going to start up, some of the WOOPS concepts. So how we can
Yes, let's.
use, how you can implement WOOPS concepts within C# as a language. Okay,
Yes.
okay. So let's start. Okay, so any of the object, I think your voice is echoing. Can you go on mute? Yeah, it looks like it is better. Okay, so any of the object-oriented programming, having mainly 4 principles. Okay, so that is encapsulation, abstraction, interface, inheritance, and the polymorphism.
Polymorphism.
Okay,
Right.
so any of the languages, I mean, what are all the languages coming under a .NET, like C#, VB.NET, these are all, supports object-oriented programming. The similar case even with your Java as a programming language also. Okay,
I have a
so
quick
why we
question.
need to, yeah, sure.
Do you have experience in Angular?
Yes, I have experience. Do you also
Perfect.
looking after
So,
Angular?
yeah, so I will need Angular when the time comes.
Okay, no
Thank
problem.
you.
No
Yeah,
problem. We'll cover those.
thank you. Go ahead.
But Angular, that's again, it's a kind of what I would say. It's a kind of, like a ASP.NET web application, but the
Mhm.
syntactical, all that thing is kind of different. So
Right.
yeah, that cannot be completed like in 1 hour or 2 hours sessions.
No, not at all.
Yeah, that's a pretty much a big thing actually.
Yes, I know that.
Yeah, no problem. We'll cover that.
Keep going.
Sure. So, yeah, so as I was telling you, like Java also is one of the language which supports object-oriented programming. So when we say object-oriented programming, what is that? Right? So object-oriented programming is about creating objects. Okay, so when we say object, object will have both the data and methods. Okay, so let's talk about that one. Um, okay, or else let's see some points about this one. So, okay, so the main principle, which comes under object-oriented programming language is, you should not be repeated the same kind of code, okay, within your as a project. Okay, so mostly you'll have to maintain the modular concepts of the .NET programming language. Okay, so that you don't repeat the same kind of code. So that is the main principle comes under. So that is called don't repeat yourself. It's called dry principle. Okay, so even if you get any of these questions within your interview also, don't surprise for that one.
Okay.
Okay, so the another thing is that, mainly we talk about classes and objects within object-oriented programming language. Okay, so basically you can consider when we say class means it's a kind of a template where you are designing, these are all my properties and these are all my methods. Okay, so when we say objects holds the data, actual data. So you are taking an instance for the class and then actually loading the values or actually calling the methods. The real time will happen with the object. Other than that one, when we say class means it's like a template data. It's just a template. You are not actually using the real time object. Okay. And also, in normal, when you are doing the programming, we have already a variable. So everyone knows that, variable means, you can set a value, you can initialize a value, and then you can access as part of your entire programming. Right,
Right.
but here when we say object-oriented programming in the class, we can define a property. So what is property? You already having a variable, but what is property? So property means you can get and set values. So as part of getting and setting values, you can have a validations also, which you cannot have in a variable. Okay, so that is the main difference. Okay, so now I'll just go to some more details with a diagram kind of thing so that you understand better. Okay, say this is your
Windows
program.
have a Windows have a better drawing tool. It's called OneNote.
Yes, yeah, OneNote is there, even Paint is there, even
Yeah,
Joomla
OneNote is
also.
really good. If you use OneNote,
Yeah,
you can use a thing and draw on. You can write
right.
better.
Yeah, so even Zoom also having whiteboard.
Yeah, yeah.
It also supports many things, but yeah, so I directly go to here so that easily accessible.
Okay, that's
Okay,
good.
so say suppose in normal language, right? Normal language, you have a series of code. Okay,
Right.
say these kind of lines of code, you maybe needs to repeat in a another class, or another set of sequence of lines. Okay, so what you can do is basically this kind of code you need to repeat in another set of lines of code. But actually when you go for whoops concepts, say class 1, right? Say class 1, whatever this series of code, you can write it here. But if you want to use in a class 2 or somewhere or some other place, you can directly make use of this class 1 under class 2. So what I mean to say here is that, you are actually accessing the class 1 what are all properties methods you can make use of in class 2, so that you are not repeating your code. Okay, so don't
Right.
repeat yourself the principle here. That's a dry principle.
Sure.
Okay, so the similar way. So when we are talk about the properties and methods, okay, say class 1. So in the class 1, what we do is we are just declaring properties. Okay, and then methods. Method 1, method 2, and then inside the method 1 you write a series of lines of code, and method 2 also you are writing series of code. But
Right.
here it is not holding any actual of the data. Okay, so it's just having template kind of thing which holds properties and methods. But when we actually load the data means you will have to create an object for the class 1. So how do you create object is basically you need to declare that class 1 any name, that object name equal to
New class 1.
class 1. So what actually does is that it actually creates an object. Okay, that this is the time this object is storing into a memory within the operating system. So when we store in memory, this actually having a actual data, say property, for example, right? So this one is having something like bank transfer, something like that, one example. So here property you are having to, and then from, balance, all those details, but here you are not having any of the data. So when we are creating an object for the bank transfer, basically you are loading the values into a memory for the balance, say 20,000, and then to which bank, and then from which bank, all those details you are loading when you create an object that loads into your memory. So this is the actual data, real-time data. Okay, so that is the difference between class and object. Any doubt here? If you have
Nope.
doubt, get into it.
No.
No, okay, that's good. Yeah, so that's what it is about. Yeah, so even the variable also. Say suppose when you are writing something like bank, when we are talking about the bank transfer, you have a balance. Okay, so if we are creating a variable, normal variable int balance equal to say 20,000. Okay, so this is my variable. So here I just declared as int and then balance. So the balance variable holds this value, and then wherever you want to access it, you can use that balance variable, and then you can change it to 30,000, anything you can change. But
Yes.
when we say about the properties, right? So the properties is having get and set.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when we are returning the property value, you use basically get. When we are changing the property value, then you use set. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so as part of set and then as part of get, you can actually have conditions here. Say if my current property value is 20,000, then it should not be 20,000, then throw exception, or you can change that value to my property value equal to 30,000
Mm-hmm.
before accessing to the user. Okay, then my 30,000 will be returned when I access it. Okay, the similar way even for set also. Say I'm trying to set minus 10,000. So minus 10,000 is not a real time scenario. So in that case, you can, kind of validation you can have here. What is the value trying to set? If it is less than 0, then throw exception or maintain a minimum balance. That is, you can set the value to 0. Okay, something like
Okay.
that, right? But
Mm-hmm.
here you cannot have the conditions. You cannot have it. So whatever value you set, you are directly setting a value. But that is the property. So here this is the extension of your variable, I would say. Okay, so these are all the main things you need to understand when it comes to classes and objects.
All right.
All right. Now let's talk about the encapsulation. Say what is encapsulation, right? Say I'm just going to one example just to show you. Okay, so when we talk about encapsulation, see your see what is see it's encapsulation, right? So basically, say suppose when you are using your capsule, right? Capsule is just from the outside you will see it's just oval shape kind of thing. But the
Mm-hmm.
actually whatever is there, the medical component of it, that is totally inside, right? It will not be visible outside. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that is called basically a capsule. From there, encapsulation has come. So what is encapsulation? So encapsulation is a, so for the class, how you are defining it is a combination of your properties and methods, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when we say about encapsulation, the logic or for the class, how it is need to be, the properties and methods are within a class, right? So this concept is called encapsulation. So all the the properties, methods, all the related logic, anything you are putting into one component kind of thing. So one container kind of thing, that is called encapsulation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for example, either refrigerator, right? So refrigerator is a one container, okay, that will have top container and bottom container like that. But when you actually opened the door, you can see the inner the like whatever vegetables, fruits, whatever you store within the refrigerator, right? So that
Right.
will but from the outside world you can't see that. It's just a container. Until unless you open the door, you can't see it. Okay, it's the same concept. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from the outside world, you can't be seeing anything, but there is actually, some of the contents inside. So it's kind of capsule. Okay, right?
Right.
Okay. Any doubt here? No.
No, no doubt. All of those are no. What I want is the actual working principle of it, you know.
Yeah, okay. So now,
Mhm.
yeah, let me go to the encapsulation thing. I'll just show you some examples. Open our solution. Okay, so here one more point I would say that is that OOPS concepts are not related to either .NET Core or ASP.NET or Windows applications, MVC. It's not like that. So OOPS concepts is a concept which can be supported by any language. I would say not
Correct.
any language which supports object-oriented programming language,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So, as I said, this is not related to any of the technology. So wherever you want it, like, you can add classes and then create objects for that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So just try to create one more project for that purpose. Let me see any console application coming as for us. Yeah, there is a console app, and console app.NET framework. Okay, so I'll just cover, .NET framework also for you because you already know the .NET Core thing related. So
Right.
just to show you even the console app how it works also. Okay, just to
Mm-hmm.
show you. Okay, so console app I started. So basically console app means the .NET command prompt like that. So it is like a .NET command prompt program. So there is a black window and then whatever you are executing here that runs on the console. It just to show you a message on the console. It will not be
Mm-hmm.
having any graphic user interface. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's make one. Oops, concepts. And just make this as encapsulation. Okay, so I'll just make one encapsulation here. So as I was telling you, just mentioning the properties and then methods within that class is called encapsulation. Say for example here, I'm just going to create bank transfer I was telling you, but yeah, so I'll just create bank, right? Uh, So this is the concept. So I'm not creating that name for you. So I'll just put bank. Okay. So bank will have basically, balance, account details, all that. So just create some of the properties for that purpose. Okay. So as you know, public means it can be accessible in the whole class. And when you are accessing this class also from outside class also, you can access. That's called, it's a public. These are all called access specifiers.
Yeah. So the difference is in Java, we don't do that internal class. We do either public or private class in
Okay, you
Java.
don't have internal, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, here we have internal when it comes to namespace. You see here namespace.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever I'm using this same namespace, I can make use of this class. outside of that namespace, this cannot be accessed. That's called internal here.
Okay.
Yeah, so public class balance. See here, so when I initialize public int balance, this is my variable. This is not my property. Okay,
Right.
so how you can declare property is you can use the same, public kind of access specifiers, public int balance, get
Get
and
set.
set. So as I was telling you, okay, just make use of this
Rename that one, yeah.
balance. Okay, so when we have this balance get set, under get set, you can have like this. See, it is expecting to return something, right? So
Right.
I'm just making use of return my balance. Okay, so here actually you can have some of the conditions like, what is my balance value. Okay, so less than
Is
or equal
equals
to
less than or equals to 0.
0. Yeah, so all those conditions you can actually access it here. But when it comes to a variable, you cannot access. Okay, so that is what I am trying to explain here.
Okay.
Okay. So even under set also, when you are setting a value, you can have, conditions. Okay, whatever is you are trying to set it up here. I'm actually returning. Okay, so when it comes to set also, the moment underscore balance.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm just
Yeah,
checking
what
why
happened?
error comes, Yeah, so return underscore balance. Yep, all good. And then say here, if condition I'm trying to put the value less than or equal to 0. Here. And something like that. So you have a conditional set here. And another thing is that, say when you are trying to access balance from outside class, you can also have, private, you see here, private set, public set, you can do that. So here also you can do that. So it means that when you are doing this setting here, you can do only in this class. Right? So when you are accessing this bank outside of it, you cannot set the value. So even these kind of conditions also, you can make use of it here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can do that. So you have a private set kind of thing in C#. Not sure in Java.
Yeah, we
Okay.
have getter, we call it getters and setters, but
Yeah.
it's
You
not
don't have
defined.
this.
I mean, it's not,
Okay.
we don't normally do validation right there. We just use it for access,
Mm.
modify per se. We can do
Okay, I got it.
validation somewhere else.
Mm. Yeah, so just have one, you can also have methods. So basically gives you return your balance. Okay. So this is the kind of declaration of a method. This is the kind of, variables, and this is the kind of, the properties. See, for every property or, class and all or methods, you can have a reference here. Means this particular that object has been referred by some other places. So when you
Mhm.
click on this one, it will show you where and all you have used. So it is not just only within the class, even when the outside of also, you can see it here.
Mhm.
Okay, when you double click on that one, it will redirect you to that class or method or anything, wherever you have used that one.
Mhm.
Okay. So this
Yeah.
is called, encapsulation. So you are putting entire thing into one container. That's called bank. Okay, just to show
Mhm.
you that example. Okay. Now let's talk about, inheritance. What is the thing we have here? Yeah, abstraction. So we have an abstraction. So what it means abstraction? So abstraction basically the meaning is that you are hiding a content or hiding a logic within a class, and then from the outside world you cannot see it. You are actually hiding. Say something like as for example TV, right? TV. So TV, you are basically just watching a TV, but in the background it does a lot of things, connects to, or the streaming, everything comes from the server. When the power is on, then it get the content, the background logic, there is a lot of things happening in the background, but from the outside you are just watching a TV. Right.
Correct.
So that is called abstraction. So basically you are hiding the complex logic of it inside, but from the outside you are just accessing it. Okay. So even in this case also we can talk about, right? See, when we are getting a balance, you are just accessing the balance here. But there are a lot of conditions, if the less than or equal to 0, you are setting a value, but these kind of things, it cannot be accessible from the outside, or you cannot view also. Okay, so just show you that. I'll create one more class. Okay, so I'm just making use of that public. Okay, so basically I'm accessing bank and then balance equal to 100. You see here, there is an exception. It is coming and showing that, the property or indexer bank balance cannot be used in this context because the set accessible is inaccessible. So basically, you cannot access that one, but you can get the value from here. Okay, so put return bank balance. So here, when we are returning bank balance, basically you are calling a get method of it. Get method of that property, not the set, because that logic is already hidden. So you can't access that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can do these kind of things within OOPS concepts. Okay, so when we go for abstraction as a larger concept of thing, you know, then inside this one, you can also use private methods of it. Private int add balance. Okay. And also you can have int withdraw amount,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But when we are doing this add balance or withdraw balance, say suppose every bank has some kind of limitations on the when we are depositing or when we are withdrawing. So there is a complex logic involved. So
Mm-hmm.
as if you are writing the pseudo code for that, first we need to check. First we check the account is valid. Okay, and then later on we check what is the amount, trying to withdraw. Okay, so I'm just writing pseudo code, but actually these are all the conditions to be checked. Say
Right.
suppose checking the withdrawal, say bank balance is nothing, bank balance nothing, then basically you cannot withdraw, right? Cannot be withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
So these are all the conditions hidden to the user. See, when we go to ATM, we are just click on withdraw and then trying to get your money. But in the
Mm-hmm.
background, it does check a lot of things, and then finally, if you are allowed to issue the amount, then the ATM will give you money, or else it just give you one kind of receipt or invoice saying that in insufficient funds, or you don't have amount. What are all those other cases, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are all the things you cannot access. So, but from the outside world, you just trying to access, give me amount. Okay. So these are all the comes under abstractions. Basically, you are hiding the logic from the outside.
Right.
Okay? So I'm not writing the entire logic of here, but I'm just trying to explain to you the concept of out of it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Or else it will take more time. That is the way I'm just
Right.
trying to. But yeah, if you have any questions, ask me. We can cover
Mm-hmm.
it.
Keep going.
Yep, that's good. Okay, so that is the called, abstraction. So there is an abstract class also within our, OOPS concepts. So what is abstract class? Okay, so let me show you one diagram.
A class that has unimplemented methods.
Yes, that's right. So what is
So
abstract?
in Java, right? In
Yeah,
Java, an
I know
abstract
you
class.
have in Java also. Yes,
Yeah, in Java, let me give you in a concept. The concept in Java, abstract class must first be annotated as an abstract class. And then the methods in Java, you can also have an abstract method, and then you can
right,
have a regular method in an abstract class. Now, the
correct.
abstract methods will have unimplemented methods, while your regular methods will be implemented. Then, any class that inherits the abstract class will then implement those. Continue.
Yeah, so in the abstract, as I was telling you, you have properties and methods, but for the methods, as you said, you can declare them as abstract. Okay, say abstract. So when we say abstract here, when we say abstract class, basically you can have implementation of the methods, or you can just declare them. So when we say actual implementation, so you can declare the methods, and inside you can have actual logic of it. Okay.
Okay.
Because we are trying to here abstract, I'm also talking about the interface, right?
Right.
Basically, the difference between interface and abstract class is that, in the interface,
The
everything is,
methods are not implemented.
yeah, that is one thing. And also everything is by default public. So when we do inheritance of this interface, you will have to implement all the methods,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
everything. But when we go for abstract class, you can still have private methods where you can hide the logic of it so that outside world it can't be accessed. And also you can also have public here. Okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
but interface, it will have everything is public and everything not implemented. In abstract class, it is a convenient or flexible way. You can still have private, public, everything here. But when we say private, you can't be accessible from the outside world. And then when it is a public, you can access from outside. And the other thing is that, you can have either implementation implemented, or you can have empty methods. Okay. So that is the main difference between them.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's do some samples. Let's go
Yeah.
to code. Let's do an abstract class, and then
Right.
both
So,
implemented and
yes,
unimplemented methods,
correct.
and then we
Yeah.
also
So,
do interface, because the theory I got that one.
okay,
So the
no problem.
practical, that's what I need.
Yes. So I'll just going to create one abstract class now. Put something abstract, bank or something like that. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So abstract. So this is basically abstract. Okay. So you can declare them as, okay,
There we go.
abstract class. So this is the how you can do it. Okay, so when we have abstract class, you can still have, private, public, as I was telling you. So I'll
Mhm.
just make use of these. Okay, or let's create our own. We can have, private. uh, uh, so basically bank will have a name,
Private
private
string name.
string name, or, that's one thing. Bank name. So
Mhm.
get set. I'm just removing this one. Probably you can have here, not this one. So as I was telling you, we can have private. I'll just do or transfer validate, or what we'd say is validate transfer. Bool is valid transfer. Any some kind of validation where we are going to verify it. Okay, so this is my private transfer thing. Say, but here we have public bool. Just to get the balance here. So public int do transfer. Okay, so which will have string from string to kind of things. Okay. So I'll just put bool. So return return is, say, I'll just put is transfer done. Okay, so basically I'll put initially as false. Okay, and then is transfer done. Okay, so my intention is here is that, you know, I'm trying to put all the logic of validating the logic. Okay, and then from the outside, when I access this one, I just do the transfer, which is a public one. Okay, so here basically I'll call if of is valid transfer. Sorry, here is valid transfer. Okay, and then I'm going to set is transfer. So here basically you do a transfer. So private execute transfer. So my intention is here, you know, after validating of my transfer things, then execute a transfer where the exact transfer thing going to happen. Okay. So here I'm going to do that, and then if of execute a transfer where my exact transfer is going to do, and then is the transfer done, I'm going to set it as true. Okay, so when we are calling this do transfer, it is having a lot of complex logic, like, you know, transfer is valid transfer or execute transfer, everything I'm trying to hide from the outside world. These are all my internal. Okay, now let's go my, so I'm going to add one more class which will implement my abstract class.
Right.
Right, so what I have, abstract bank. Let's call it as one more. Because bank is already there, I'm just creating one bank.
Just call. Oh, you already created it. Never mind.
Yeah, so it is called, this is how you can access the parent objects. Either it can be interface or abstract class. Okay.
Okay.
So what is our abstract class? Abstract bank.
Abstract bank.
Okay. So just going to just build from here. Okay. So it is giving you one failed. Okay. Why? Because so abstract blank, there are some errors. Let's close that one.
Right there.
So it is a property boolean, right? But it is not returning anything.
Right.
So let's close that, return true. Okay, and then for the you know, boolean type, we can check if, and then you can put the actual method here inside. If it is true, then we are basically done the transfer, or it is going to return false only. Okay. Now what other issues we have, or everything is done?
Yeah, it's good now.
Okay, so even okay, this is a
Withdraw.
different thing. Yeah, the other one. So return true just to avoid the
No,
issues.
it's not true. It's an int.
Oh, sorry. You're right. Return 1000 or anything, just a number. Okay, so I'm just closing that one. So let's build that one. Okay, so all good. So now let's go back to my class where abstract bank is there. Okay, so when we are doing abstract bank, you can also say that some of the important thing to be done, okay, like a transfer and all. So for that purpose, there is a abstract keyword also. So you can put public abstract boolean do transfer. You can also do this. So what it does, it's basically, right? You see here, cannot declare a body because it is marked abstract. Okay, so when we are creating abstract, methods, then you cannot have implementation.
Yeah,
Okay,
because it's an abstract.
right. Okay, so that is the way you are trying to. It is trying to instruct you. You cannot have like that. Okay, so you can have like this. So when we say, let's implement one more abstract thing here. So which cannot have any implementation, we can have is just I'm trying to think of what real-time example I can put it. Public Boolean abstract. Withdraw, say withdrawal. Okay, withdrawal. Okay, so I'm just going to have an empty method
I
here.
think you already used withdrawal somewhere, have you?
That's a bank, that's a different thing.
Okay, so why is that withdraw not compiling? Spelling?
Is
Okay,
not
spelling.
valid. Method must have a return
Spelling.
type. So because I mentioned bool here, what is happening? Okay, one failed. Good. Must receive the member type.
It should be.
Okay, so
And then correct the spelling on withdrawal. That's all it needs there.
no, but you can have any method
Yeah,
here.
it will take it. It will take it,
Doesn't.
but it's just
Yeah. Let me see what is happening. Failed. Calculate virtual or abstract members cannot have private. Yes. Or does abstract.
so it has to be public, abstract, and then
No,
there you go.
I think, yeah, in interface, you are not supposed to have, but yeah, so in abstract class, you need to have it properly. Okay, so that is still fine. So in abstract class, we have declared one method. So that is called without implementing of the method. So for that purpose, you can declare them as abstract. So you don't
Right.
need to write inside of the logic. But the important thing is that when we are inheriting that, the bank one or whatever is the child object,
It has
child
to
class,
implement
that
that.
needs to be implemented. So that is the what it is trying to tell you. So you
Yes.
can just, the advantage here is that, just implement the abstract class, it will create by default what are all the, overridable methods.
And it even gave you the exception.
Yeah, it is not giving the exception also. Yes, return.
No, I'm saying once you implement it on this, the system would automatically generate you put an
code.
throw
Yes.
exception there in case, which is nice.
Yeah, which is nice. Say suppose you are just implementing it but not writing any of the logic, it will throw that error. Yes. Okay, so you got the abstract. So here, right, you can call the inside of the methods using base. Okay. So there is a base, and then you can access any of these. This
Wait,
do
explain that base
transfer,
again.
withdrawal.
Base will be, what's the use of the base again?
Okay, so there is a abstract bank, which is abstract class, right? So it is having methods. Okay, it is having private, public, all those methods. Okay, so here when we say override means the withdrawal from the base class, you are overwriting that.
Right.
Okay, so that's one thing that's called override. Okay, so in terms, this is called again polymorphism, but I tell you that logic again. But here we also have base. So what I mean base is that there are some methods already there in the base class. Okay, so
Which
I
are
don't want to,
implemented.
yeah, I don't want to rewrite that logic. Okay,
Okay.
base class, whatever is there, I want to just call it. So that is called base. So you can use base, and then when you
Dot.
type dot, then you can access all the properties or methods which are all public under that. You can access them. Okay, right? So that is called base class.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
So when we say abstract as a declaration for the method, then you need to override that. Okay. So that is the
That's
concept of,
interesting
yes, you
because
need
that,
to. That's a must thing.
yeah.
Okay. And then you have do transfer, right? Say I'll just put it as transfer, that has int or boolean. What is that? Do transfer is a boolean. So public bool transfer. So basically what we can do is here, you can directly call base dot do
Yes.
transfer. Okay. And then if you want, that can be enough. Okay. But if you want to access more things, and then you can also do override of that transfer logic. Okay. So you are done the transfer here, and then you can see boolean, right? Say if of boolean. So you are calling basically the base class method. If everything you are happy, then you can return it, or you can write the logic on top of that also. So what I mean is, say some example, transfer is done. You want to write some messages into your logging, right? So you can do that, all those things here. Console, right? Done transfer successfully.
Okay.
Done transfer successfully. Okay, so you can still access base, and then you can do it. So it is trying to look after, from unto, that is the way it is telling, say from bank
Space, comma.
to bank. Okay, so I'm just giving, these are all the examples. Okay, but in a real-time scenario, it will have in a lot of code involves, everything is there. So I'm just writing as a pseudo code to just cover these concepts.
Right.
Okay, so that is the called your abstraction. So in inheritance also kind of the same concept here, but I'll tell you.
No, let's do interface.
Yeah, so interface, say abstract class, right? So now I'm writing one interface. So when we are writing interfaces, right, it's went on very quick actually. So there is a type interface. You can add that
Right.
one, right? Here I'm doing the same things, iBank. So
Right.
interfaces can go as starting with I, so that everyone understands there is an interface. There is a standard for that. Okay, so iBank. So here, if you want to try to implement of any of the logic, public boolean to transfer, right? I'm trying to implement the same thing. Just trying to have some logic, just to show you how it will throw exceptions.
It
Okay.
will not work. We know that one.
Yeah, see, it will not work. What it is
Mhm.
saying, default
We need
interface implementation is
unimplemented
not
method.
applicable in C#.
Yeah. It's not applicable in programming,
Yes,
period.
that's right. Okay, so what you can have is that, you can simply have empty of the things. You see here, the modifier public is not valid. So that is what I was doing that actually. So in interface, everything by default comes as public only. You don't need to declare that specifically.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
already there.
Yes. So now let's try to declare one more private just to see what is the error it will throw.
Mhm.
You see here again, it is not acceptable because private is not valid. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So that is the called interface. Now let's see how we can implement of it. So here already abstract class is there, so I don't want to disturb that one. So let's add one more class which implements our interface. I'll just mention it as bank 2
Call it, no, no, no.
interface. Yeah,
See, you should have called it Bank IMPL.
yeah, anything. So yes, if you want to have that, I can just put interface implementation, something like that. Okay.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah. So here, the similar way how you are accessing abstract class, you can have it here.
Double dot and then
Bank.
iBank.
Okay. You see here,
And then
as soon as
implement the
I done
method.
that one, so it is throwing that error. So you can just click on that one, implement interface.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
There
see,
you
do
go.
transfer. So that is the what interface is. But another important thing is that, the difference between them is for abstract class, right? When we declare this one as a abstract, then when it goes to bank one where you are implementing it, then
Uh-huh.
in combination of abstract class, you can have, you cannot have one more interface.
You can or you cannot.
I was thinking you cannot,
You should. Because
but
your bank one class can both, it can implement an abstract and as well as an interface.
hmm. But I was thinking, so when we go for interfaces, right, you can have multiple interface. Oh, I think that was the difference between VB and C#. Okay. So yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So when we go for C# as a language, right? So when we
Mm-hmm.
declare multiple interfaces, then one class can implement multiple
Multiple
interfaces at a
interfaces.
time. Say
Mm-hmm.
if we have like, iBank 2 or
iBank
anything, you
2.
can still,
Mm-hmm.
implement them.
Yeah.
Okay, but in VB, you cannot implement. That is the difference
Okay.
between VB and C# actually.
In Java, it's the same. In Java, you can
Java
a
also, I think
class
it will
can
be the same.
implement,
Mm.
yeah, a class can implement multiple interface, and a class can also implement both an interface and an abstract class.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yes. Okay, so that is called about it. And this concept anyway, inheritance also another principle of OOPS concepts. So what do you mean in inheritance is that, the parent, whatever it is having the methods or properties, you are trying to access in the child class.
All right, let's do that one. So we know
Yeah,
we
sure.
touch everything.
Yeah, sure. So I'm just adding one parent class now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just declare it as parent, so that will
Mm-hmm.
easy to know. Okay, so in parent class, I have say the exam, for example, employee, right? Employee will have name, first name, last name, all of those things,
Sure.
right? So let's have that public string First name get set.
Why don't you use the shortcut, like the shortcut for prop, and then it would just give you prop.
Oh,
No,
you
not
mean
that.
prop?
No, go back. Delete, remove the public. Yeah. Then now change the name,
Yes.
change the type, and then also
Type
change
or
the
anything.
property.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can do that. Yeah.
I normally do that, so it's quicker.
Just, yeah. For me, it is
Thank
like,
you.
because I type very fast. So I always feel
Uh-huh.
comfortable with that.
Okay, last name. There you go.
Yeah. So, and then,
Prop.
so I think that's enough. So I'll just to
Okay.
mention that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the parent where we have first name and last name. Okay,
All right.
say these kind of things is a repeated thing into your programming language. So what you
Mm-hmm.
can do is you can create one more class for the child.
Mm-hmm.
Just creating one more class, call it as child. So when we access the parent here, then you can access what are all the properties within your parent also into your child class.
But
Say I'm
wait,
declaring here,
for this one,
yeah.
with the parent-child situation, it did not ask you to implement it. Why?
Sorry, what is that?
I said when you did the inheritance from parent, from child, child is inheriting from the parent, it did
Mhm.
not, when you put it, it did not ask you to implement the methods or the class variable from the parent,
No,
did
no,
it?
yeah, it will not get any error. Why? Because this is just a parent class. This is not declared as a interface or
Abstract or
abstract.
interface.
It's just
Okay,
the
good.
class basically.
All
It
right,
just a,
that makes sense.
so yeah. So you see here, I'm trying to access the first name which is from the parent, and then last
Mm-hmm.
name which is from the parent also.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what are all those errors it is coming. But yeah, so and a get or set accessor is expected. Okay, set and get. Okay, so I'm just putting here. Okay, set and get. Or I don't do any set. Okay, that is still fine. You see here, parent, I have first name and last name. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to make use of that within my child class. So here, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not declaring again the first name and last name. I'm just making use of the parent class, whatever I'm having.
By using the get and then.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
this get and all, get is not necessary here, but what I mean to say is you can access them. Say, for example, I'm just make use of that, creating a new method here. Something like get name, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm making use of that first name plus last name here. So I can directly
Nice.
make use of that.
That's
So
good.
I don't want to confuse you. So let's remove that one.
Yeah, remove that one. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Say here is the concept. So whatever is there in parent, I can access still in child. It is something
Child,
like,
yeah.
say suppose the parent is having some of the properties, right? So child is also having a control on that properties. It's a
Mhm.
similar concept.
Okay, so if you create an object of the child class,
Yes, you can still
uh,
access it.
okay. So do
Yeah,
that.
say
Create an object of the child class and then let's access everything from the parent and see.
yeah. So public string get from parent, something like that. Okay.
No, we're
Uh,
creating an object of child class. We are not creating a method.
no, no.
So
What do you mean? Come again?
I'm saying if we want to create a new object of the child class, and then from there we can access, like if we do a child class obj equals to new child
Yeah,
class.
that's what I mean to say. So here
Okay.
I'm creating here parent. Okay, parent equal to new parent. Okay, and then parent dot. You see here, I can still able to access it. But here,
Right. That's
using that
good.
interface, I don't need them. I don't need all of that logic. So, plus parent dot.
Last name.
Sorry, it's a small p. Okay. Okay, let's see what is that error. Only assignment call increment on the new object can be based on a statement.
Because you're calling a
So,
parent in a child class, so you have to either say
yes.
super
Yeah, something like that. I think base
or
something.
base.
I think
You
base
can use
something will
base,
come, I
yes.
think. We'll
In
see.
Java, we will use base.
Discard introduce local. Yes, introduce parameter of new parent. Yes, that's what we are doing. Think probably from because it is getting from the parent.
Yeah, I wanted you to do
You
better
can,
child
yeah,
class. You don't need to do
yes,
the parent class. Do the child
correct.
class.
Yeah. So it will be directly able to access it.
Right.
Or if you want, you can use the base first name like that. So you can still able to access like that.
No, base is not.
Let's base dot last name.
Oh, now.
You see here? So return
Yes.
base dot first name, base dot last name, you can use it because this is the parent class, which is base. So as I
Right.
was telling you, even in the, I think abstraction or somewhere, I was trying to tell you that. So when you use base, right, you can still able to access the parent class methods. So that is what we can do it here.
Okay.
Okay, now let's talk about the polymorphism, right? So polymorphism basically, okay, say suppose you have the same one name is there, make use of just the name, same name. Okay, you can make reuse of that by using polymorphism. Okay, so that
Okay.
can be applicable for methods. Okay, say suppose you have already declared a method called transfer. Okay, so you can use the same name, okay, within the same class or child class. But which one to be executed, it will be taken care of by your runtime logic. Okay, so that is called polymorphism because same name is there, but the kind of the execution, how it is executing and what are
It's
all the
different.
values it will take, it will be taken care by your object-oriented programming.
Correct.
Okay, so that's using your base and child classes. So the another important thing in polymorphism is that you have a runtime polymorphism,
And compile time polymorphism.
compile time polymorphism. Okay, so basically you will get two kind of errors when we are going for polymorphism. So either you can get runtime polymorphism, means you have a child and parent classes, parent and child. Say you have used the same method, do transfer and do transfer here. Okay. So because you are using same method and you are in the runtime polymorphism, while building your application, you will not get any problem here. Okay. But when you are running the application, then probably you may get error because it cannot be allowed the same method same time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes compile time, right, it's a called build time error.
Right.
Okay. So but here you will have the same within the same class, you are trying to have same method name, but only within the class. There is no parent class concept here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me show you that one.
Can we finish at 10 o'clock your time?
Yeah, sure. So that's why even I'm trying to have, actually little bit fast.
Thank you.
If I'm going fast, let me know. Okay.
No, you're fine.
Okay. So the same parent and child concept here, if you want, you can go. Say, suppose in the parent, I am having a method called public string.
Display name. You already
Um,
have that.
yeah, you can have get name or display name up to you. Okay, but here I'm having a get name. I'm just, as a parameter, I'm going to have string first name. Okay.
Return.
But so I'm also going to have one more. So let's take that return
First
first
name.
name. Okay. See here, I'm just passing only the first name here. And then when I call this method, I'm going to have first name only. Say in the future, if you want to have get name, but you want to have first name plus your surname. So both are as a complete name. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have a same method name also, but the parameter will be changing.
Let's change it to string and int. So first name and then age. Int age.
Um,
It's good.
so
No, that's good.
you can
Oh,
change,
no, it
yes,
won't
either
work.
you
Yeah,
can
because
change
it's
that
string.
one or you can change the parameters also, anything up to you.
Okay,
But
that's good.
here I'm just trying to show you as a, parameter way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so last name. But here I'm trying to get my complete name here, but as a
Mm-hmm.
string only.
Right.
First name plus
Plus last
last
name.
name, but in between I'll just have one space. Okay, so you can do that. Okay, so but
Change
here
your
what I
last
mean to
name.
say is
Change your last name to lowercase if you want to. No, that's fine. That's good. No problem.
no, this is, yeah, that's taking property. I should change it as
Mm-hmm.
lawyer name. Okay, so here I'm trying to make use of the same method name, but the parameters are changed here.
Right.
Yeah, so you can also have that way, or you can also have by changing the access specifier, what it is trying to return. You can still have
Mm-hmm.
the get name. So here it is a different change, but I just wanted to show you that one. So I'm just having int type here and
Int
last
first
name.
name.
But yes, I just wanted to show you that concept. That's all.
Right.
So return first name. What is my sorry is having like that. So first name plus last name. So here the concept is that, I'm trying to make use of the same name by changing the parameters or by changing what is my return type.
Yes.
Okay, so that is what I'm trying to show it here.
Looks
See,
good.
this is in my parent. So this concept is called method overloading.
Overriding.
No, method
Overloading.
overloading.
Overloading,
Because we
sorry.
are having within the same class. Okay? You're getting right? So I'm trying to make use of this same method within the parent class, only one class. Okay? So this is called method overloading.
Overloading.
Yeah. So also another name for this one is, compile time polymorphism.
Polymorphism.
Okay. Say if suppose I'm just trying to throw that exception for you. So let's remove this one and let's make use of the same name. Let's see what it will show. Okay. So this is saying that, already you have defined. So you cannot have,
Right.
and also it is trying to, you can change the parameter types in order to accept. Okay. So this is called your compile time polymorphism, because as soon as the error sees, it always giving you, you can change it. Say, suppose I'm trying to make use of the same method name within my child class. You see here what is happening. Okay, so it just trying to show you that, you can also have the parent get name is there, but it doesn't give you any of the error. You see here, I'm just trying to build it. You see here 0 failed. So it is still succeeding it. Okay. So you can still use the same name, same method name. But in order to override whatever is there in my child, you can do, override of that one. Okay, if I am declaring it as virtual, so get name is there, public. Public virtual. So virtual means that, you can have the implementation here, and in the child class, you can make use of the same name, but you can add override. So what it means that, so in the child class, you have this one, get name, and here you have the get name. So when you are making call child dot the method name, okay, it will make use of the child class logic.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is basically because of the override thing. Always when you call child dot get name, it will call this one. It will not call the child class one. Sorry, parent class one. Okay. So this kind of mechanism is called runtime polymorphism, because as you have seen, as a compile time, it did not throw error. Build was still succeeded, but at runtime, it will throw error.
Right.
Okay. So you can make use of the override thing, but you can still call the same method. So this is called method overriding when we have child and parent classes. Okay. So yes, so we have covered even for that one. So I just added these kind of things for your reference.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So any doubt within this object-oriented programming? I know it is very short and, trying to close very soon. This concept also is very big, but because you have already experience with those things, I'm just trying to close sooner.
Yes, makes
Right,
sense.
all good?
All good.
Yep, thank you. So practice and come back with any questions.
Oh, if I come with questions, we will not do our class.
I know,
The
yeah. But
questions are too many. I
try
just
to,
make little questions
yeah, I
because
know.
I'm
I
trying to
know.
get
See,
everything I can from you.
the programming is not a small thing. It's like, continuation to your daily work.
Yes.
So you need to practice more.
I have my
You know.
laptop now, so
Mm,
I'll practice more.
yeah. So I know I'm trying to cover, very little bit right off fast also. So
No, you're
my
good.
motto is that, because you are paying money for every class. So I consider that one. So my intention is that, I wanted to cover more concepts for you to be clear in the interview rather than
Yeah.
spending more time, unnecessary things and all. But yeah,
Yes,
so
that's what I want.
practice more. That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, sir.
So
Thank
in
you
next
so much.
class, yeah, in next class, we'll go to back to .NET Core, and then we will cover
Mm-hmm.
the database, how to connect database, all that.
Yes.
Okay, and then we can come back later on Angular and Blazor, all those concepts. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Yep.
Because we still
Thank.
need to connect to database and then we
Yes,
still need
right.
to deploy.
Yes, so many things.
So what do you deploy? Are you deploying with Azure or you're doing Jenkins? What do you do?
We have Azure servers.
Okay.
Yeah, but here, I mean, in the class, I'm not going to cover that one because it's a, paid, all those things are there. But we can
Mhm.
make use of that IaaS and then we can deploy it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, sure. No problem. Thank you. We'll catch in next class.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.